Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's program, Construction Career Pathways, How to Start Working in the Trades. My name's Miriam Meadow. I'm an adult services librarian with Oakland Public Library, and I'm focusing on workforce development in my role. I'm so excited tonight to be welcoming and hosting a couple of staff members from the Construction Trades Workforce Initiative, CTWI, Priscilla Hoang and Elizabet Wendt. Welcome. They're going to be talking about how to start working in the trades. I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to be monitoring chat. And thank you so much for presenting the information tonight that we all need.
Thank you, Miriam, and thank you everyone for joining. We're really excited to be talking with you all tonight. So we are going to be talking about how to start working in the union construction trades. I'm going to go over kind of the agenda for tonight, a little background on the trades and on CTWI. But I would love it if everyone, if you're interested in a particular trade, if you can introduce yourself in chat, just put your name and maybe what trade you are thinking about or looking to get into. We would love to know a little bit more about that. So our agenda for tonight is we're going to do a quick overview of CTWI, our organization, and what we do. We will talk a little bit more about what the construction trades are, how to join a union construction apprenticeship, and an example of kind of what that apprenticeship application process might be with a particular trade that we work with a lot. And then we'll talk a little bit more in depth about pre-apprenticeship and training opportunities you can do in Oakland and the surrounding community, both for youth and for adults. And we will leave tonight with some resources for you so you can continue to kind of look into trade opportunities, learn more about the trades, and hopefully have a little bit of time for Q&A at the end. So with that, I want to give a little introduction to Construction Trades Workforce Initiative, CTWI, our organization. We are the nonprofit workforce development partner of the Building Trades Councils for Alameda, Contra Costa, and Napa and Solano counties. Our mission really is to advance economic and social justice by strengthening pathways into union construction careers, especially for people who've been underrepresented in these union jobs historically. So that's women, people of color, youth, the formerly incarcerated are kind of our target populations. We really do this by working on developing community partnerships like this one with the library and other training providers in the Bay Area, supporting training programs, both pre-apprenticeship programs and test prep programs to help people get into the trades, and then really working on workforce policies to make it to make more local jobs available for people and make it easier for people to get into the trades after they've done training. So as we kick it off, we're going to do another little activity to kind of look at the range, the variety of the union construction trades. So you can put this in chat as well. You can kind of call it out. Starting, we have a picture here, right, of a job site and 5 circles that call out different trades. So starting kind of on the top right, let's say we'll go clockwise. Any guesses on this trade, what this trade is? You can put it in chat. No guesses. This is iron workers. So iron workers put a lot of the infrastructure of the building, the skeleton of the building. What about this one on the lower right corner? Yes, I see it in chat. Plasterers, exactly. So plasterers are doing kind of surfaces on the outside of buildings. The center one down here, it's not the best picture, but It's something we all need in our houses, especially at night. Electrical, yes, electrician, very nice. The one on the bottom left corner. This is an operating engineer. So operating engineers operate heavy equipment. So you see them at the port using cranes. You see them at job sites a lot doing the foundation work, excavating the ground to make a good surface to build on, all that kind of stuff. Really, really cool trade to work in. And the last one on the upper left. Any guesses? Yes, glazier, exactly. And glaziers put in glass for buildings. So you see like all those tall sky rises in San Francisco that have just pure like glass all 20 stories up, right? They're putting in that, doing a lot of really interesting work there. And they're finishing trade as well. Okay, last one, we have 3 more. Starting on the top left, let's say. Any guesses here? This is an elevator. Yes. Okay, good. I see it in chat. Elevator constructor. Exactly. So putting in elevators in our buildings. The bottom left. Roofer. Absolutely. And the top right. This is my favorite trade, honestly, but this one, yes, sheet metal. And sheet metal does both architectural sheet metal, which you see here on the Salesforce Transit Center building in San Francisco, where they did all the kind of exterior work that's very artistic. And they do a lot of interior work, especially around HVAC, installing HVAC systems and things like that. So really interesting, really versatile trade. So we did this exercise really kind of to see just the variety of trades that are out there. And just to point out that, you know, a lot of times people think a construction worker could do any part of the job, but really that's not true. These are very specialized careers where people learn a specific craft and really become experts in that craft. So just highlighting here, we have a bunch of different trades listed here. These are really the main trades that are available in our community. And you'll notice here we have an H next to some, which stands for hunt, and an L next to some, which stands for list. This will become important later. Priscilla is going to walk us through kind of what that means for the application process. But really, this is just to say that there are 2 different ways that people get into trades. And trades choose, like some of them choose the hunt trade way, some of them choose the list trade way. And you just need to know, because if you're targeting to be an electrical worker, it means you're going to have to do a few different steps than if you are going to be a cement mason, for example. So with all that background, I'm going to say that at CTWI, I mentioned before, we do support and work to support helping people get into union construction careers. For you, when you're looking into getting into construction, you can choose union, non-union. We hope our information will help you in either way, but we do advocate for focusing on union just because there are a lot of benefits that come from being in union construction. These include things like longer term careers with ongoing training from your training center, so you can kind of retool as technology changes, higher wages over time and when you start, guaranteed pay raises throughout your training and in your career, and other benefits like medical and dental for you and all of your dependents, a pension, and then things like representation and union support in case you face obstacles or discrimination on the job. And just going over this point about higher wages, I always like to point this out that this is from some research that was done a few years ago. But it's not just higher wages by a little bit, it's higher wages by quite a lot. So unionized construction workers on average make about 42% higher wages than non-union. And if you include like total compensation package, which is benefits and all that, it's about 78% higher than non-union counterparts. So it's pretty significant. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Priscilla, who will talk a little bit more about the hunt and list application process.
Thanks so much for that overview, Elizabeth, and really glad to have you all with us. My name is Priscilla Hoang. I'm a program manager here at CTWI. So I'm going to walk you through the standard sort of application and entry process to get into union trades. Next slide. So referring back to that list Elizabeth had earlier, there are typically two different ways to get into a union, or two different application processes, actually. One we call hunt and one called list. So hunt trades, we call it hunt because it's you're hunting for a job. Both require an application, so you'll apply with each individual trade directly. Each trade, have their own house, they have their own sort of crew. So you really would have to research into what you want to pursue. Every trade has their own different deadlines, different application periods. It's a little bit like applying to college, they're very individualized, so make sure you do that research up front. But yes, there's an application. Once you submit your application for a hunt trade, they'll tell you that you need to find a sponsor. And what that means is that there's the trade union, and then under the union, they work with different individual contractors or businesses, and those are called signatory contractors. What you'll do once you get your application is they'll give you a list of these signatory contractors and tell you to reach out to them directly to see if they need work and if they can place you. So yeah, that process will look like calling, having a list, calling down each number, asking if there's available, if they can take on an apprentice. And should one say yes, then boom, that's basically it. You're in. Obviously, there will be some paperwork you have to do, but that's the general process for the hunt trades. On the other hand, list trades are a little bit different. You will have to do an application. That's the same across all trades, but this one is a little bit more involved. You need the application, and then for some of the trades, they'll have you do an exam, and that's usually sort of like a math or mechanical, spatial reasoning exam to sort of, get a gauge on how those skills are. After the exam, you'll be ranked and scored, so you'll get a score for your exam. If you do well on the exam, they may call you in for an interview. So that's part of the second part of the list trade process. It's a 10 to 15-minute interview. You'll stand in front of a panel. They'll ask you questions about your experience. And then following the exam and the interview, for everyone who applied, you'll get a score. You'll be put on a list with all the scores, and then they will accept the top applicants on that list. So say a trade has 20 spots, the top 20 people who applied in that season will get in. I see some questions in the chat. Do we have to have experience? Where do you apply? I think we'll get through that in the rest of the presentation. So applications, some trades only accept applications once a year. As I mentioned, each trade is very, very individualized. it will vary greatly. Some are open year round and you can apply anytime you want. And they're always accepting applications. Some trades, they're open for a month. Some trades are open 4 days a year at these business hours, and you have to apply in person. CTWI, we have a great resource on our website that has a lot of this information in one place. So we will share, or if you're on your computer now, you can go check it out. But we'll also share that at the end. But yes, the application periods will vary across trades. They're typically in person, some are online, but for some of them, you will have to go to their office and fill out the forms. Across the trades, most of them have similar requirements, minimum requirements, which are to be 18 years or older, to have your high school diploma, your GED, or equivalent sort of certification. Almost all trades will require a driver's license and ID. Driver's license is really important because you need to drive around to job sites and carry, your tools, and that's pretty hard to do on BART or AC Transit, even, without, all that stuff. So that's typically a requirement for the trades. And then within some trades, there are subcrafts. So for example, what we call the finishing trades, District Council 16, they do painting, industrial painting, glazing, and floor laying. Within that trade, you can apply to specialize into one of those crafts. So yeah, for the application, I see, what if I graduated from a construction school? Any sort of experience that you have is a bonus. So whether that's school, Lainey, your uncle had a business and you helped them, or you had a knack for plumbing and plunging toilets and you did that for all your friends and family throughout the years. Any sort of experience that you have, definitely include that into your application. And yes, Cypress Mandela would be an excellent thing to put in there. Moving on to the next part of the application process, the exam. So I mentioned it's, a lot of it has to do with math, reading comprehension, mechanical reasoning, tools assessment, spatial reasoning, abstract reasoning. These are all skills that you'll need on the job site. And for the math part, I know a lot of people get a little worried about it because it might not be everyone's strong suit, but not to worry. The highest level is about 8th grade algebra. And I think on the next slide, CTWI offers test preparation classes that can help you brush up on your math, get you prepared for this test. So if you're a little bit worried about that part, there are also resources there to help you out. But yes, those are the topics that you will be tested on in the assessment. And on the day of your assessment, you should be prepared, have a good night's sleep, eat a breakfast, come with pencil, paper. Some trades now use computer-based testing, but in general, it's always good to be ready. They like to see that you're prepared. They like to see that you're early. They like to see that you have a good attitude. And yeah, no calculators are allowed, and it will be a timed test. And I know tests are worrisome for everyone, but it's kind of just like a job. You go in, you do your best, the results will be the results, and it's not something that is going to make or break your life. It's not something that is to worry too much about. Just do your best and prepare as much as you can. Following the exam, if you pass the exam, you will be invited to the interview round, which is really a chance to meet the trade in person, share a little bit about your personality, learn a little bit more from them about the trade. and just see if there's a good fit for the both of you. So what this typically looks like is you'll be interviewed by a panel or a committee from the trade. And so that could be a training representative and employee representative. And it'll be very short, 10 to 20 minutes. And, they'll ask you questions about your experience on the job and why you're interested. So it's really your chance to impress them. And you don't have to dress formally, but you want to dress nice and make a good impression on folks. We also know that interviews can make some people nervous. So in addition to our math test prep, we also offer interview prep to help you get ready to answer questions such as, why am I interested in this? And anything else they might throw at you. And finally, apprenticeship. If you get accepted, the offer is and this applies only to the list trades. The offer extended to applicants in order of the listed ranking. So after you submit your application, you take your exam, you do well on your interview, you get your score, and you're in the top, 20 or so, whatever number that may be, you will get an offer, and that'll usually be by phone, email, or mail. If you are a top applicant, it's really important that you respond to the trade in a timely manner, because there's going to be a lot of people on that list, and they'll call once and they'll call twice if they're nice. So make sure you pick up that phone, make sure you're checking your email, and that you're responsive. The number of people they accept depends on the work, on how busy it is at the union, how much work is available. So if there's a lot, a new building complex being built in downtown Oakland, the glaziers might have a lot of work and they might not need a lot of people. But if it's not busy, it doesn't make sense to take on more apprentices. So this number will also vary year over year. If you get on that ranked list, you'll be on it for 2 years. So say they accept 20 people, you're number 22, you just missed the cut. You'll be on that list for another year. You won't make it into that cohort, but in the next year, you'll move up. In the next year, you'll move up, and if you're still in that top number, you'll still get in, and you don't have to take the exam and test again. What can change is your ranking. So say for the first year you didn't get in, the second year, your score is the same, but that second year you'll get a new round of applicants who applied. So depending on how they test, your ranking might be different. After 2 years, you'll be off the list, and then you will have to repeat this process again to be on it. So yeah. I think that's it for the application processes. Happy to entertain any questions, but if there are none now, we'll also have time at the end. But a little bit more, say you get into the union, you did everything right, and you got in. It's a 2 to 5 year training program, and you'll officially be an apprentice. So you're earning while you learn. You don't have to pay for classes or anything. You do have to pay union dues, but you're not going to have student loans like in college or school. So while you're training, you're earning while you learn. The average starting pay is at $26 an hour. This will be different across the trades. Each trade has their starting wage publicly available on their website, so you can find that information there. You have benefits, as Elizabeth mentioned earlier. We support union construction because these are careers, not jobs. They're not going to put you on a job site and say, sorry, no more work for 3 months. You're with the union, and as long as you keep putting in, hard work and a good attitude, you're gonna keep getting jobs. So there's career advancement opportunities. You might start as apprentice, then you can keep going higher and higher in the ladder, and eventually not have to work with your hands so much. No college degree is required, and so these are some of the things you can expect with an apprenticeship. Just to compare the apprenticeship with, the typical 4-year college experience. If you look to the left, it says week 1, as an apprentice, you are getting paid from day 1. You're getting on-the-job training. You're getting classes, both hands-on classes and instructional classes, straight from the beginning. Years 1 through 5, you're continuing to get paid. You have benefits. You're still training. You're still taking classes, and typically about every 6 months you get a scheduled pay raise. Compare that to the 4-year college. Week 1, you pay tuition. Your classes begin. Years 1 to 5, you have to pay tuition every year. And because you're taking classes, you might have limited work experience compared to the apprenticeship where you're earning while you're learning. When you graduate for the apprenticeship, that's called journeying out. You're continuing to get paid. Your paycheck will grow dramatically, and you can earn college credits. And then in the post-grad category, this is 5 years plus into your apprenticeship. You have 0 debt. On average, you earn $280,000 in wages, along with benefits. Whereas the college experience is different. You're learning in your first 1 to 5 years, and then after graduation, you're kind of out and you begin your job search. There's no guarantee you'll get in your field, and then usually a lot of students come out with debt. And so just if you're considering one or the other, we're not saying one is better than the other, just this would be sort of a typical path for a lot of folks over 5+ years. So after your apprenticeship, this is sort of when you graduate, that's when you're considered fully skilled and you journey out. Remember, our starting wage was at about $26 an hour. At this point, you're getting about $60 an hour. You're getting your benefits still. You can have an associate's degree and you continue your education. And remember, these are careers, not jobs. Working can be hard on your body, but once you put in your time with the trades, you can be recognized. And you can become a foreman or foreperson, a superintendent, business agent, business owner, an instructor. There are lots of ways where you can still be in the construction industry, still make a great wage without working with your hands so much. So there's a lot of opportunities for you there. It takes time and dedication, just like anything else.
Awesome. So I'm going to jump in here and walk you through with a kind of the application process Priscilla described with a real list trade, Plumbers UA Local 342, which is based out of Concord. Before I get to that, though, I am going to explain 2 terms that we've been throwing around. The first is local. So unions are national, in some cases international, and they break themselves down into regional areas, which they call locals. So every union, you're going to hear this a lot, but every union breaks out their regional areas differently. Just to give you an example here, on the left, we have sheet metal local. This is one local. They cover all of Northern California. On the right, we have IBW, which in the same area, you can see maybe 15 different locals, right? So this is important for you to know, because when you go to apply to a trade, you don't apply to the international union, you apply to the union local. So if you're targeting to be an electrician in the Bay Area, you could apply to, if you have a car to get there and you're comfortable with the geography of it, you could apply potentially to 6 different locals in the same year, because there are like about 6 different IBW locals here. So that's one, just to keep in mind. The different geographies are called locals. The second one we've been throwing around is JATC. This is the Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee. All this means is it's the committee that of union representatives and contractors who come together to plan how you get trained when you're an apprentice. So the JATC is the committee that kind of organizes your apprenticeship training. It also does your interview, like Priscilla mentioned. So again, just another term you want to know. Now, okay. Plumbers and steam fitters, local 342. This is good. I think we have Hoang in the chat wanted to be a plumber, so this one might be for you. They do a lot of commercial and residential plumbing, and also work a lot in the refineries. Plumbers also, though, I should mention, they also work in things like a lot of hospitals putting in gas lines, and in some cases breweries, which I think is kind of interesting. So this particular training center, this apprenticeship program, their training center is based in Concord. It's beautiful. It's a 5-year program. Like Priscilla mentioned, some trades have specialties. This is one of those that you have to come in and apply for a specialty. The 4 are listed here: plumbing, steam fitting, welding, and HVAC and refrigeration. So you have to come into this particular plumbing local knowing kind of which direction you want to go. Other locals like 159 out of Martinez, another plumbing local, you do not have to specialize. It's just good to know before you apply, right? So you can kind of decide which place you want to apply to and what trade or what craft subspecialty you might want to go into. They also do a lot of green construction work. This is true for all of the trades, actually, as environmental law and building law becomes more important in California, and construction has to adapt to climate needs. A lot of the trades are really at the forefront of making sure that efficient systems are put in, that renovations are being done to make buildings more energy efficient, things like that. So in their case, they do a lot of work around water efficient toilets, gray water systems, which conserve water, and then carbon capture hydrogen fuel, which is interesting. For them, right now, they're usually taking applications in May. Before the pandemic, they took them usually in August, so they're kind of in transitioning back to that, I think, hopefully year over year. But right now, they're taking applications in May. For them to get in, you have to pass their entrance test with a 75% passing rate, and then pass their oral interview with their JTC panel, and be able to pass a drug test. Especially with plumbers, the advice that I've heard is that you should be ready to pass your drug test as soon as you come in to accept your offer. So, but after you pass your oral interview, you are placed on that ranked list, and then if work is available, if you are high enough on that list, you'll get pulled in for their apprenticeship. They only take applications once a year. So they take in a new cohort 2 times a year based off of that list. So this is just it kind of laid out on a timeline, you can see. And then to give you a sense of wages, so starting as an apprentice for them, they're making almost 30 an hour cash, and then their benefits package is on top of that. So it's about 25 for their benefits package. That includes pension fund, some, I don't know if they have it, but some trades have like a vacation fund, different kind of supplemental money that they provide to you. Healthcare goes into that. But when you journey out, when you complete your apprenticeship in those 5 years, your hourly wage is 72 an hour, and your benefits package is on top of that 46 an hour. So you can see like your wages go up quite a bit once you journey out. And I'll hand it back to Priscilla.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that was the application process, but how do I really get into it, and how do I prepare myself for the union? I know everyone here is probably interested in getting more experience or learning more, or maybe getting info for someone else. So this will really help you understand the different pathways in. So here we have 3 different buckets of training programs. In the orange, you'll see pre-apprenticeships. The green is secondary education. And then the blue is apprenticeship, the union apprenticeship. So I'll go through each one. For pre-apprenticeship, the first sort of one avenue is called youth MC3 programs. MC3 stands for multi-craft core curriculum. And it's basically a free year-long training program that gives participants a broad overview of the construction trades. So if you're not sure exactly which trade you want to do, you want to sort of try it out and see, is construction really right for me? Is a space where I want to be in? We really recommend MC3 programs. The youth one is obviously geared towards youth, sort of high school age, and it gives hands-on building, construction math, job readiness, green construction, and more. So if you see in the picture in the top left, I think these students are, cutting some wood panels, learning safety skills, wearing safety vests, and really just, having fun with it and seeing it as a true possibility. They're typically held at a school site on campus, either during the school day or maybe as an after-school program or a summer program. And we partner with different high schools and juvenile detention centers to run these MC3 programs. Here's a list of the ones that CTWI is partnering with. We helped launch some at Lincoln High School. We're launching one at Castlemont in Oakland. We work with different youth detention centers. And we're still growing. So if you have a student at one of these schools, or then this is a great way to get that MC3 program. And then we also have adult-based ones, or partner with adult-based MC3s. They're very similar to the youth ones, except for they're for adults. The 2 pictured here on the left are Cypress Mandela on the top left. That's their training facility and their students. You can see they're all geared up. They have their hard hats, really learning the skills and mannerisms that unions likes to see. And then the bottom right is Rising Sun Center for Opportunity. That's based in West Oakland. There are 2 different MC3 programs, but they essentially should teach you and serve the same purpose. Again, you get hands-on training as well as sort of classroom training. These programs will help you with job placement, union entry. They'll have case management and support. And then in some cases, you can also get stipends to help with different costs. These are free training programs. You do have to apply to get in, but once you get in, there shouldn't be other associated costs with it. The one downside is that because it's a program you have to attend, so it might be hard to work on the side. So, it might not be for everyone, but as a whole, they're a great way for you to just, dip your toes in and really understand more about the union construction industry. So this is a list of the adult-based MC3s. We mentioned Cypress and Rising Sun in Oakland, but there's also others, Future Build in Pittsburgh, Richmond Build in Richmond, and then there is one coming to Laney College in 2025. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention what you get at the end, which is an MC3 certificate. It's a certificate that says you completed this program. This person has all the basic skills. This person is job ready, construction ready, and unions look at that very favorably because they know that the quality of these programs are top notch. And with CTWI, some of our work we're doing is to have the unions recognize the MC3 as a part of their sort of application process. So we worked with IBW 595. If you apply and you have your MC3 program certificate, you can skip the math test because they know that you have the skills for it. So there are a lot of associated benefits with doing these programs. They're, very recognized in this industry. And so that's why we recommend it if you just want a little bit more experience before taking the plunge. One final pre-apprenticeship avenue that not a lot of people know about is the trades pre-apprenticeship. So these are offered on a trade-by-trade basis. They're similar to, well, they're pre-apprenticeship trainings specific to that trade. So they're a little shorter than the other ones we mentioned. They're just 3 to 8 weeks long. They're free training. Three that we know, three of these programs that we know is still going strong are the carpenters, ironworkers, and bricklayers. So if you can get into one of these pre-apprenticeships, you're able to directly build relationships with this trade and directly really learn about the specific trade. You see here on the left, this person is an iron worker. So, they're going to get a lot of experience in that field. These are a little bit harder to come by because you sort of have to know someone in a trade or do a little bit more research on which trades have your apprenticeships. But if you're, still wanting to try things out, this is another avenue for that. Okay, so that was pre-apprenticeships. The second bucket was secondary education. Community college, we all know and love community colleges. A lot of them offer different construction sort of courses, and that's a great way to get experience. Laney has an excellent carpentry department, construction management, welding, wood tech, same with Chabot and Cal State East Bay. Other sort of secondary education where you can brush up your skills are construction test prep classes. There are a lot of these sort of popped up around the Bay Area because, we've recognized that there's a need to brush up these skills. So a lot of these have year-round enrollment. They focus on the trade entrance exam topics, as we mentioned earlier. If you join, you'll have sample tests, you'll have practice interviews, and because we work very closely with the unions, You know, we'll make them as applicable and specific as possible for you. And then you know, a lot of these classes also have guest speakers. You'll know when the apprenticeship is opening. So if it's something you're really serious about, it's a great resource. And we've seen a lot of success with people who take these classes and people who pass their entrance exam. So 3 different ones I want to share with you is the Oakland test prep class. That's the one that we run. And it's 2 nights a week in the evening, so you can go after work. There's also test prep classes at Benicia Adult School, which is online, as well as Vallejo Adult School. And then finally, the last bucket of training program is obviously the union apprenticeship, which you have to get into. With that, you'll apply with the union directly. We already went over the eligibility requirements, but if you want a resource that has all the trade requirements in one place, check out our guidebook, which is linked below.
Great, thanks, Priscilla. And I will say one of the reasons we go through those different options is just that, you know, if you feel like you need more time to explore what craft or what trade you're interested in, we definitely recommend taking a pre-apprenticeship program. But if you have a strong sense of where you want to go, you know what trade you want to apply to, unless you just want to get more tool safety or want to get more certifications through the pre-apprenticeship, you can always just go ahead and apply directly to union apprenticeship. So these are all options to you, and it really depends, you know, which one you choose really just depends on where you are in your life and what your past experience is. So I'm going to power through a few resources that we want to leave you with, and then we will open it up to questions. I put our website in the chat earlier, but if you go there on the job seekers page to career opportunities, you will see our list of apprenticeship openings. This is a really, really, really good resource. Thank you, Miriam, for putting it in again. This kind of compiles all upcoming trade openings, all previous trade openings, so you can see what the requirements are and get your documents together, your application packets together. The guidebook, which Priscilla mentioned, is another great resource if you're still in the research stage of looking at different trades. It's also on our website under resources. Feel free to take a look and download it. It gives you explanations of different kind of work trades do, their starting pay, those wage schedules, all that kind of stuff. Another resource, which we don't have, it's not linked on our website, but you can always look them up individually if you know what trade you're interested in, is the JATC or union local website. So this is the JATC for the electrical apprenticeship up in Napa Solano, local 180. A lot of them are very old websites, so be patient with them, but like they have a lot of good resources, a lot of good information about training opportunities. Those trade specific pre-apprenticeships are sometimes listed on here. So you can usually find them linked through the application page, that career opportunities page we have listed, but you can also find them through like your own research. And the last resource I want to give you is if you are interested in doing more prep for an upcoming application, we are hosting an interview prep summer series. One is actually happening right now tonight, but the next one will be July 30th. You can join any of these, scan the QR code to join and, you know, come drop by, do a little interview practice. It can be a really good way to get ready or just kind of preview what this process might be like. And with that, you should also always feel free to reach out to me or Priscilla. Our emails are here and will be sent out later. So if you do have specific questions after tonight, feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to connect you to resources. And with that, I'd love to open it up to questions.
How do I get in a test prep class?
Great. Yes. So if you want to join, it kind of depends on the site. So if you want to join the Oakland class, it is closed for the month of July, but will be reopening in August. And I would say just send me an email, and I will put you on the sign up list for August. If you want to get into Vallejo or Benicia, also just email me and I'll connect you with those adult schools so they can get you registered.
And you're Elizabeth or Priscilla?
Elizabet, I'll put my email in the chat.
I apologize. I see it.
No, don't worry. Great. Yeah, Vallejo does have a summer session, a summer school happening right now, so you could attend there for the month of July if you want to.
So if I email you tonight, you can get me started with that.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Any other questions? I think we had a question before of, do you have to have experience? And I think it might be good to address, you don't have to have experience to go into an apprenticeship. They're really comprehensive training programs. So that's not the expectation that you have any like past experience. They're going to train you up with skills specific to their craft and how they want you to do it. However, it does help, when you go into the interview process, if you have a history of like working with your hands or doing like crafty projects, or potentially like, Priscilla said, working for your uncle's side construction business or lawn mowing business, things like that. That does always help, just because they want to know that you're the type of person who can handle physical work, because these are physical jobs. But you don't have to have like, you don't have to come in with 10 years of experience working with tools or whatever. And I see another question from Enid. Are the test prep in person or online? So Oakland and Vallejo are in person, but the Benicia class is an online class. All of them are in the evenings, 2 to 3 nights a week. So you have options. And again, if you want to register for any of them, just feel free to email me. Any last questions? Great. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I think I'll hand it back to Miriam.
And I'll just say thank you so much, Elizabeth and Priscilla. I learned a ton, and I hope everybody else learned so much tonight. I'm going to stop the recording, and if anybody has any off-the-record questions that they'd like to ask, you're welcome to. So I'll do that right now.